much as we possibly could of our old building while we were fixing it up and getting it ready to turn into a nice place for people to come eat. But we still had to bring in some new stuff because, after 120 years, things were getting kind of worn out. And one of the things that were really getting worn out were the floors. So we had to put in new flooring. So we had to think about what type of flooring we were going to put in. What do you usually make floors out of? What do you think? What are some of the materials? Wood. Yeah, wood's a material you use. Well, where does wood come from? Where does wood come from? Trees. Where do trees come from? The ground. Yeah, but how do they just appear? Where do they come from? The earth. Yeah. Do they show up on the earth? But how do you get trees?
Seeds.
Seeds. Yeah. Little itty bitty seeds. You plant a little itty bitty seed, it's going to grow into a really big tree that you can chop down, and you can use that lumber for construction and for flooring. How long do you think it takes, on average, for a tree to grow big enough that you can chop it down and use it for construction? What do you think? 20 years. 20 years. Exactly. 20, 25 years, on average, for hardwoods, it takes for a tree to grow big enough that you can chop down. Now, trees are a renewable resource because you can always turn around and plant another tree. They didn't always do that. You know the name of the county we live in? That's the city. What about the county? No, we're not in Wayne. What county do we live in?
Oakland.
Oakland, yes. Why do they call it Oakland County? Any ideas? Because of the oak trees, yeah. It used to be covered in oak trees. That's why they call this place Oakland. Now, the Midwest, in fact, used to be all covered in trees. But we've chopped down most of our forests. And we've used them for lumber, or we've cleared away to build our cities. Now, what else do trees give us besides wood? What do trees do for us? Air, oxygen, right? So forests are important because they give us oxygen. And if we just chop down all the trees, I think we're going to be in trouble, right? Nowadays, when they chop down trees to use for lumber, they turn around and in responsible places plant a new tree. So that's good. That makes it a renewable resource. But it still takes 20 years for those to grow. So that's a long time. So we went looking for materials that were more rapidly renewable. Means maybe they'll grow faster and replenish themselves in a shorter amount of time. So we went looking for some cool new materials that we could use for our floors. On the outside, what do you think this flooring here is made out of? Feel it. What do you think this is? Because the stuff on the outside, not the stuff in the middle, the stuff around the edges. What is this? It's hard. But what is it? What do you think that is? What do you think it is? It's not wood. We want to look for new materials that were more rapidly renewable. What do you think? Tile? It's not tile. What do you think? What? Rubble? No, it's not rubble. What do you think? Bamboo. You know what? You're right. This stuff right here. This is bamboo. We use this to make into our flooring. That's kind of cool. But not like this, because they have to grow a lot more than this. Do you know what bamboo is? Is bamboo a tree? No. What is bamboo? What is bamboo? A plant. Yes, it's a grass. It's a grass that grows really fast. In the right conditions, and pandas do like it, they eat it, don't they? It grows in the rainforest, and it grows really, really fast. In the right conditions, bamboo could grow a foot a day. You could almost watch it. Now, inside a restaurant are not the right conditions for bamboo to grow really fast, so these aren't going to get really, really big. But bamboo gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when it gets big enough, you can chop it down and use it for flooring. Yeah. It takes about 3 years if you planted a bamboo seed to grow big enough into a bigger stalk, a bigger plant that can be chopped down. That makes it a rapidly renewable resource, right? 3 years? 20 years. That's why we like bamboo, because it replenishes itself faster. So that's one of the materials we used on the flooring over here. Now, some of you were looking at this flooring over here. What do you think this stuff's made out of? Feel it. Feels a little different than the other stuff, doesn't it? Yeah, it's different. What do you think this stuff is? About what is made of?
It's pulp.
A bowling ball?
Yeah, it's pulp made out of
Well, you know what? I don't think so. Maybe. What do you think this stuff is? What do you think it would be called?
cork.
Cork! Yes, it is! What else do you use cork for? Wine bottles. Yeah, it goes to the top of the wine bottle. What else do you use cork for? Bulletin boards? Maybe you put push pins in it? Right, in the classroom? That's cork. Well, where does cork come from? Does it come from the cork cow?
No.
Does it come from the ocean? From
No.
coral? Where does cork come from? Where do you get cork from?
Trees.
Trees, yes! In fact, cork comes from the cork oak tree. It's the bark that grows on the outside of the tree. Now, normally, if you took the bark off a tree, it's not going to make the tree too happy. And it would probably die. But the cork oak tree is different. If you carefully take the bark off, it's going to grow back. And then you can peel it off again. So you could have a cork oak forest, and you could be taking off the bark carefully, and it's all growing back. It grows back in about 8 years, and then you can peel it off again. 8 years, 20 years. Which one is a more rapidly renewable resource?
Cork.
Yeah, cork, 8 years. We also like cork because it has some other cool properties. It's a little softer under your feet, right? And it absorbs noise. And it's naturally pest resistant, so we don't have to spray it with chemicals to keep the bugs away. So we like cork. So we looked for some renewable resources for our flooring. We also use some other types of flooring in the restaurant too. Not renewable resources, but recycled materials. Going up the stairs, we have recycled rubber. And on our patio outside, where you can come in the summertime, we used old tires that were shredded up and made into tiles for on top of the patio space. So that's kind of cool, using different materials in different ways. So we kept as much as we possibly could. The tile, the pillars, we were using bricks. We brought in some sustainable materials for our floor. We're not quite ready to open up for business yet, are we? What's one of the easiest things you could do to make something old look new and fresh? What's an easy thing you could do? Anyone have some ideas? What do you think? What's an easy thing you could do to, let's say, maybe your house to make it look new? Paint it. Yes, exactly. We needed to paint. Now, have any of you had your houses painted? You ever been in a house or a room that's been painted? What can you tell me about that room or your house after it's been painted? It looks new, right? It looks better? Maybe the colors are different? What else can you tell me? What else do you notice right after it's been painted?
It's really wet.
It's wet. What else?
It smells.
It smells, yes. Smell good? No. What is that smell? It's the paint. But what makes it smell? What do you think makes it smell?
Sometimes they use, gasoline in it.
I don't know if they use gasoline in it, but they do put stuff in it. What is that smell? What makes it smell? What do you think? Well, it's chemicals. And they're not so good for you. We found out that the chemicals they use in those paints that you smell, they're called VOCs, which stands for volatile organic compounds. Pretty fancy word for nasty chemicals. And if you breathe those in, it's really, really bad for you. In fact, it's really, 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 really bad for you. So that's why people open up a window and try to air it out, right? They want to get that smell out of there. If you ever smell that smell, you don't want to sleep in a room if you can smell that smell, because you're breathing in those chemicals. If you can smell it, it's bad. And you don't want to be breathing those chemicals in. So if we're going to have an organic restaurant that has all this food that has no chemicals in it, we didn't want to paint with a bunch of chemicals and people would be breathing that in. Even after you can't smell it anymore, some of those chemicals are still out there. So we went looking for a special paint that had either zero VOCs, volatile organic compounds, nasty chemicals, or low VOCs, just a little bit that would go away quickly.